Hi, and welcome back to the Drama Free Healthy Living podcast. I'm your host, Jess Cording. I'm really excited you're joining me for today's episode. This is a theme I have talked about in the past. I was looking in my archives recently just to kind of see what I've talked about regarding this topic before. And in December of 2022, I talked about things to let go of in the new year. And I thought about just re releasing that episode, but I realized I recorded that at a time where I wasn't sharing it with anybody, but I was deep in just a really dark place in terms of fertility struggles, questioning a lot of things related to my work, my life, and the things that I think I was bringing to that is such a different place, such a different energy. And I wanted to revisit this topic. Sometimes I think it's great to approach the new year thinking about things we want to call in, things we want to build, cultivate, things we want to accomplish. But sometimes, in order to do that, we need to let go of something and just really acknowledge the habits, beliefs, pressures that quietly drain our energy and keep us from feeling our best, keep us from reaching our goals. Getting rid of what doesn't serve us is also so important for living in alignment. So, I wanted to focus on that today. For some reason, going into 2026, that feels right to me. So, if you've ever felt stretched too thin, caught in comparison, weighed down by perfectionism, this episode is for you. Sharing a few powerful mindset shifts that can help you enter this new year feeling lighter, more grounded, and more intentional about where you put your time and energy. So grab a cup of tea, a notebook if you like, take a deep breath, and yeah, let's talk about what it looks like to truly make room for yourself in 2026. So, one, perfectionism. This was on the old list, but it bears repeating because perfectionism can hold us back so much. I found out in my late 30s that I have OCD, which was not a surprise at all. It was just validating just to have someone like a clinician be like, yes, you have this. It's just, and it helps me be a little more compassionate towards myself now when I catch myself in these perfectionist moments where I'm like, oh, right, this is the OCD. But even if you don't have OCD like I do, when you let go of the beliefs that things have to be just right before you start, whether it's a new workout routine, new eating pattern, a personal project, progress happens through action, not perfection. And I love this expression. I've heard it all over the internet for years now, but that done is better than perfect, right? And there's definitely something to that. So if you've been waiting on something or beating yourself up about not getting everything right away, let that shit go. And then number two, let go of trying to do it all at once. I will say, as a new mom at the time of this recording, my daughter is just shy of 4 months old as I'm recording this. You're not going to be able to do it all, especially not all at once. You don't have to overhaul your entire life overnight. Sustainable change comes from focusing on like one or two priorities at a time. So give yourself permission to simplify and focus on what truly matters right now. As a dietitian, I've counseled so many people on healthy weight loss. That's something that a conversation that comes up a lot in my work. And I think that what I've seen again and again, they try to change everything about their diet, their habits, their workouts. And 3 weeks in, it's like, oh, fuck it, this doesn't work. Of course it doesn't, because you're overwhelmed and you're trying to do too much. But maybe you can start with actually eating enough protein at breakfast to help with appetite regulation through the rest of the day. Like, that's just one example. But even little things, like just if you have a tendency to become overwhelmed because you're trying to do it all, and that sometimes keeps you from doing anything or doing anything well. Give yourself permission to just focus on one task at a time. I mentioned I was diagnosed with OCD in my late 30s. I also, at the same time, was diagnosed with ADHD, which it, again answered so many questions. And I will say that for myself, something that has been really powerful is reminding myself that monotasking actually is more effective and that things can wait. I will say with my daughter, I've had to be really specific with myself and remind myself, like, hey, there will always be dishes piled up in the sink. Don't bother with that right now. Go do the thing that you need to do for you in these like 20 minutes you might have before she wakes up from her nap. Like, give yourself permission to just focus on the essentials and do less. And kind of related to this, guilt about rest or self care. Oh, wow, this has come up in my work over and over and over. And I will admit, this is something I struggle with too. Like rest is, it's not a reward, it's a requirement. So please let go of the guilt that comes with slowing down or with taking care of yourself. You're not being selfish. You're refueling your energy and protecting your long-term well-being. This benefits not just you, but everyone that you come into contact with, especially those who depend on you. So this fourth one, this was on the list in 2022 as well, but I think it's important to just always come back to this. And comparison. Don't compare yourself to other people. I know you've heard this before, but I think it's always a good reminder. Stop measuring your success against someone else's highlight reel, especially on social media. Your timeline is your timeline. It is unique. It is not anyone else's timeline. So don't judge yourself based on what you see others doing. You have no idea what they might be going through. So just letting go of comparison, it really opens the door to contentment and confidence in your own path. Number five, the all or nothing mindset. This comes up a lot in my work when we're talking about goals for the new year. You don't need to eat perfectly, exercise daily, or meditate for 30 minutes to benefit, right? You don't have to go hard all the time. And not that any of those things are going hard, by the way. Consistency is so much more effective than intensity. So let go of extremes and give yourself permission to find consistency in the middle ground. Believe me, that is where the real transformation happens. Number six, saying yes out of obligation. So you guys might know this, but I have the word yes tattooed on my right wrist. 20-year-old me. There's a long story. And I'll be honest, this tattoo has nothing to do consciously with saying yes to things. It's much more about a reminder to say yes to myself, to stay grounded. I've definitely posted and written about the tattoo story. Maybe I'll do an episode on it at some point. But I will say, as a recovering people pleaser, I do struggle with saying yes out of obligation. But overcommitment, it squeezes your own needs out of the picture. And then again, to go back to the self care piece, when you're not getting your cup filled, that affects other people. So it's not selfish to say no when you need to say no. Letting go of overcommitment means making space for what truly aligns with your goals, your energy, and your values. So I know this might feel hard for a lot of you guys. I've been here, but practice saying no or not right now without apologizing. I wrote about this, I think this was in my first book. I was in this business networking group that was awesome, but it was a lot. I had to get there at like 7 in the morning every week. It was a time in my life when I was working really hard. I mean, I was not always working really hard, but I was working like 7 days a week. My dad was really sick and I was juggling like caring for him with trying to run my business. And somebody at this business networking group, they asked me one morning if I would be open to helping with some project or something that required me to like show up at a certain like extra days or something like that. And I started saying, I'm sorry, but, and then like explaining all the things going on in my life. And she cut me off and she was like, no is a complete sentence. And at the time, I felt a little miffed. And I think I felt that because I knew she was right. And she'd called out my bullshit. And not that it's bullshit, but when you're conditioned, the conditioning that makes you feel you need to apologize for setting boundaries, that's the bullshit. You're needing boundaries, that's not bullshit. And it was just, but I don't think I would have gotten the message any other way. And that moment, it was so short, but it really stuck with me. So just to remember that no is a complete sentence and you don't owe anybody an apology or an explanation. Next up, we have negative self talk. So, you guys, your inner voice really matters. Like what you say to yourself, you internalize. So let go of those harsh, judgmental thoughts and work on replacing them with curiosity and compassion. So if you catch yourself wanting to say something really nasty to yourself, ask, would I say that to somebody that I care about? That can be a really great way to reframe it. And sometimes when you're noticing those thoughts creeping in, it's a good time to check in and be like, okay, why am I feeling this way? Like, what's going on in me that's making me feel bad about this thing? And that can be a really good entry point to exploring a need that's not being met or something that you want to focus more intently on. So, being curious, being compassionate, that is going to serve you so much better than engaging in the negative self talk. And by the way, like, this is not necessarily a thing that comes easy to many of us. Like, I certainly struggle with this one too. So, practice helps a lot. The more you do it, similar with setting boundaries and saying no more, it does become more natural the more you practice this. All right. And then I would say fear of change. I don't think this was on the last when I did this in 2022, but wow, change is uncomfortable. But it's also where growth lives. And sometimes really positive changes can still be scary, right? As I've been sharing in this episode a little bit, I know that for myself, the journey to motherhood, especially because it was so different from most people's. Like there was a lot of fear involved. Like there was all the fear, of course, of like, what if this doesn't work? What if the embryo doesn't take? We can't find, and I'll share more about this in future episodes, but the surrogacy journey for us was like so much fear because there's so many points at which something could go wrong or like but then it became as things got closer it was like, am I going to be any good at being a mom? What's it going to be like taking care of a baby? Like how's that going to affect my work, my life, my relationships? That was definitely all in there. Oh my goodness, the growth. I'm so curious what I'll say about this phase when I'm a few years out from it and have some perspective. But whatever change is on your mind that you're afraid of in your personal life, your professional life, instead of resisting it, view it as a sign that you're evolving, not failing. I might talk about tarot in an episode at some point, but instead of like right now in my life, because I have a lot less time for journaling with the little one around, I pull 3 tarot cards every morning with a question in mind. And I kind of use that quick moment to just reflect on a message. And something that's been coming up a lot for me in these last few months is the importance of embracing change, letting go of insecurities, embracing change. So maybe that's a lot of why this stuff is on my mind. But I wanted to just really mention that letting go of fear of change is so powerful because of all the incredible things that you can let in that you might have been blocking yourself from before. Number 9, this one I'm just kind of laughing because in my house, this is definitely a struggle, but clutter, letting go of physical and mental clutter. This process of letting go isn't just emotional, right? It's tangible. So, and I will say there are spots in my home where I need to keep it just really like uncluttered, as spotless as possible because I can't control the rest of the house with like other humans and living in it. But just like if you can, clean out the closet, simplify your calendar, delete that endless list of saved posts that you're really never going to go back to, right? But create breathing room for new ideas, new habits to grow. It may seem like a weird thing to approach, but there actually is data showing that like the physical surfaces in our home, like how much clutter really impacts our well-being and our health in a number of ways. So just keep that in mind. So just let go of whatever would be helpful for you to let go of, like physically, like clutter. And then digital clutter, that's a whole other thing. So this might be a great time to delete old files, or if there's stuff you don't want to totally delete, put it on a backup drive so it doesn't have to take up all the space on your device. And then lastly, let go of ignoring your body's signals. Stop pushing through exhaustion, stress, hunger because you think you should. Really focus on tuning back in. Your body is wiser than any trend, right? And it's always trying to communicate with you, always trying to tell you what it needs. So I would invite you to listen in. Now, I wanted to share just a few reflection prompts for you. We can share these in the show notes as well, but grab a notebook or take just a mindful pause while you reflect on these. So, one, what am I holding on to that no longer serves me? Two, where am I saying yes when I really mean no? Three, what expectations do I need to release from myself or others? Four, what would feel lighter if I let it go this year? And five, what do I want to make more space for in my life instead? So I hope this episode gave you permission to release some of the things that have been holding you back, whether it's the pressure to do it all, the guilt around resting, or it's self doubt that sneaks in when you're trying to make changes. As you move through the season, I invite you to take a few quiet minutes and ask yourself, what do I want to carry forward into the new year? And what am I ready to let go of? You deserve to feel strong, calm, and clear about where you're headed. Now, if this episode resonated with you, it would mean so much to me if you would share it with a friend who might need a little encouragement. And as always, I would love for you to tag me on Instagram at Jess Courting, all one word, with one thing you're letting go of this year. I'd love to hear what's on your mind and what you're going to say goodbye to in 2026. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, you don't have to do it all to live well. Sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is simply make space to breathe. Till next time, take care of yourself, mind, body, spirit. We'll talk soon.